Over the course of many years and miles, most drivers will eventually receive damage to their windscreen or other glass on their car, and that will require replacement. In my instance, I've driven for about 270,000 miles over the course of the last 22 years. I've replaced a windscreen twice, and I've had other glass damage that required replacement glass, so in total 3 times. But now I've received a stone impact on my Tesla Model 3, and that requires a replacement windscreen pane. Now, most windscreen damage is insured. In my instance, there's a £75 excess for windscreen replacement, and my insurance company uses a British company called Autoglass to handle repairs and replacements to windscreens. Now, if you go onto Autoglass website, they will tell you that cracked windscreens, which is what I've got, cannot be repaired, they can only be replaced. And here's the trouble for people who drive Teslas. They will find that as of March 2022, there are no spare windscreens available. There is a global shortage. I've been waiting a few weeks for my replacement windscreen. Other people have waited a few months. And worse still is the fact that some of those people aren't able to drive their Teslas. Now, I can rant on about Tesla's poor reputation for service and parts. They're not very good, but it doesn't solve this particular issue. So the question is if you're in a situation where you'd otherwise be unable to drive, or you want to stop your crack getting worse, what can you do? So what I want to show you is a DIY repair process. I'm using this product. It's made by a company called Rain-X. They make other products for windscreens. This is a crack and chip repair kit. So we're going to open this up and we'll have a look inside. So in terms of what you get in the package, the main star of the show is the repair resin. That's what we're going to be using for crack repair. You also get this device here and also this device. For chip repair, these are what you use, but for crack repair, we can put those to the side. You also get instruction manuals, and then you also get these plastic sheets. These are used for curing the resin after you have finished applying the resin to your crack. You need direct sunshine for curing the resin, but you need shade in order to apply the resin. You also get instruction manual, and then you also get a razor blade, a small razor blade like this, for scraping away any excess resin from the surface of your windscreen at the end of the job. So, one thing to note is that this is an irritant. It causes irritation to your skin and your eyes. So I've got my rubber gloves on and my goggles. So the instructions basically tell you that you have to apply it very slowly to the extent that the crack disappears as you are applying it. And when the crack disappears, that tells you it's soaking into the into the crack. One of the things I've also got, I've got some towels so I can wipe that off. I think my plan is to work from the end of the crack to the edge of the windscreen, and the suggested rate is 1 centimetre every 3 seconds. I'm going to have to say it doesn't look like it's disappearing. So what I'm going to do is just simply fast forward and see. Now, one of the things I have seen is that the crack, it has filled in along the edge of the crack, but you can still see the lines at the top and the bottom of the crack. But in between, the refractive part of the crack has been filled in, and I was able to see that the fluid was able to pass along the length of the crack as I was moving from one edge to the other. Yeah, I can still see the crack, but yeah, the middle of it is looking a lot better, and I can see that there are no air bubbles. So what I'm going to do is let this sit for 10 minutes, and then we will come back to it. Right at the end of the crack, there's still a bit of air, and that's predicted. That is something I think is predictable. That is the thinnest gap in the crack, so it's often the case that fluid the gap in the crack is just so small that fluid can't fit down it. Professionals will drill right at the end there to stop the crack growing, and then they will somehow widen this. But as you can see, I'm just pushing a little bit of outward pressure, and with emphasis on the word little, and that isn't really helping. So what I'm going to do now is simply work on the rest of this. We can see that there isn't any gap here, so we're going to do the next stage of this, and the next stage is to reapply this, but faster. And then once we've reapplied it, we're going to place curing strips on here. These are curing strips, they're just plastic sheets. What we're going to do is place them on like so. Make sure there's no air gaps on the actual line of the crack. We just apply them as many as necessary to cover the crack. And in the Rain-X product, we've got 6 curing strips applied. So I peeled off the plastic strips. We've had some sunshine for about an hour in the hour and a half period. Not very much, about 20 minutes. The instruction manuals say you only need about 10 minutes of direct sunlight for the resin to cure. So that is leaving us with the job of just using a razor blade to peel off the resin which is on the windscreen. And then we will have a look at the result once that's done. Right, so time to just simply brush up the remaining items off here. So here's the result. You can see that's where the impact was with the stone. It wasn't even a crater, it was just a scuff, but that was all it took to cause the crack. But if you have a look closely, you can see that there's a line at the top and the bottom of the crack, but there's nothing in between. And what that shows is that the walls of the crack are now completely transparent with the rest of the glass. But at the end, you can still see the crack just here. And the walls have filled in, a little bit, but not quite at the top of the bottom. It costs just under £5 for one pack on Amazon, and you need to order a minimum of 4 packs to get your delivery. So I've got 3 spare packs left to have. What I'm probably going to do is put one of them in my boot, just in case I do suffer a chip in the future. So I think there are 3 questions to ask. The first is, would it pass an MOT? The second is it a permanent repair? And the third question is, does it affect the value of your vehicle? Now, when it comes to the first question, the requirement is no more than 40 millimeters for a crack in a windscreen in any part of the windscreen. So the fact that I've turned it from a crack into a line should satisfy that. But I'd be interested in a qualified opinion on the matter. In terms of whether it's a permanent repair, I don't know whether it's restored the strength of the glass to its original amount. Third question, does it affect the resale value of your car? And I think if you were to trade this car in after just 1 year, yes, it would affect the resale value. After 5 or 6 years, well, you've probably got enough dents and scratches on your car anyway to diminish the resale value from a brand spanking new one anyway. So I'm still going to gun for a replacement windscreen. But the question is it worth doing? And I think the answer is yes, it is. It gives you some first aid. It helps restore some of the strength of the windscreen. I couldn't do a full repair right to the end of the crack because the gap was just so thin that I couldn't get any resin down it. But it's worth trying. So hopefully that should be sufficient until I do get the windscreen replaced. If it isn't, I'll put something in the description saying so. But in the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you again very soon.